Hello, I'm Steve. A little about myself. I'm a retired law enforcement officer with 20 years of service. I began my career in the jail, worked the road, and became an investigator. During my career, my training consisted of everything from SWAT to becoming a state certified crime scene technician. I've investigated crimes from thefts to homicides. After retiring and becoming aware of true crime and web sleuths, I started my channel for web sleuths to better understand the perspectives of law enforcement. Not only do we cover true crime, I go out into the field and assist families who have lost loved ones to homicide and their cases are considered cold. Join me as we look and bring attention to these critical cases.
Hello, everyone. Glad you're able to join us tonight. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Idaho homicides with that Kohberger is accused of and has been indicted on. But before we get into that, as always in chat, respect families, respect mods, and respect each other. We'll have a short presentation tonight, as always, and after that presentation, we'll go out and answer whatever questions you have. And we've been busy the last couple weeks. We was out on the road and had traveled to Texas to work on the Amber Crumb case. But now I'm back, and I'll start looking at some of these cases that we have looked at in the months past. And as we prepare for our next cold case that we'll be going out on in late June or July. But I am ready. Okay. If any of you have any information about the homicides of Madison, Kaylee, Ethan, and Xana, absolutely make sure law enforcement has that information so that justice can be had for them. And we would absolutely make sure that this individual, if he is the responsible party, is held accountable for it. And of course, this is Kohberger. Some of the evidence for that we had looked at in past shows, and this indictment that has just been handed down in Idaho, everyone knows about the probable cause affidavit and the DNA profile that was on the knife sheath that led to the arrest warrant for Kohberger while he was visiting his family in Pennsylvania. But when we look at all the evidence that has been compiled, that was in the arrest affidavit, that standing alone, each one of these things is not enough to convict anyone of any crime, let alone a homicide, because DNA standing alone by itself on a knife or a knife sheath, it could have been and had originated in a lot of different ways. But when you start adding all of these items together, such as his times that his vehicle or a vehicle matching what he owned was seen in the area, and they were able to track it, his cellular footprint, and how many times he had been in the area during certain times, even pre-crime and post-crime, and the movements mapped pre-crime and post-crime, and the point that it was deactivated during a critical time period, which is by itself doesn't mean anything. But when you add it all together, it starts painting a picture, starts stacking a deck that, yes, we have someone that or something of a case that you can present to a jury, and a jury will weigh it and absolutely may or may not convict him. But it was absolutely enough just on this alone. If you just had this evidence, this is enough that you could indict him on. Now, do they have additional evidence? I hope so, but we don't know. I suspect that they do, for the fact that with the technologies that exist now, and the processing of not only that crime scene, but of every article of clothing, the vehicle, that's a Elantra vehicle that he owned that was on camera, and that they were able to put in his hands both pre-crime and post-crime. that using the technologies and the CSI and bringing all the powers of all the lab work that can be done on this vehicle for the processing, I suspect that they have additional evidence. If they don't, then it may be a hard trial for the prosecution. But as far as for the indictment, just what you see here on this screen right now would absolutely, I believe, carry most grand juries to the position that, yes, we should allow this to go to trial. And so if we don't have anything else other than this will get him to court. But like I said, it won't surprise me a bit that we have multiples factors of just this evidence. All right. But I looked up a little bit about the grand juries in Idaho. They have to have at least 16 people, and a quorum has to be of at least 12 that they need to agree to secure an indictment, and at least 12 have to be present to even start discussing. But but as long as you have at least 12 of the 16, then we can have an indictment. And then also that indictment was brought formally on him yesterday, which was Wednesday. And he was indicted on what all his original charges were of the murder and a one count of burglary. And it says that he did unlawfully enter a home in Moscow, Idaho, and willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, premeditation. And that is a strong word, that when you put in premeditation, and you're trying, and did they prove that? And have they proved that? And do they have evidence of that? And if they do, that is going to go a long way. All the other stuff, you can always have where people willfully kill someone, unlawfully, of course, deliberately. But the premeditation part is probably one of the strongest words that you'll see. And that he planned it, malice aforethought, did kill and murder the 4 victims. And it says that Kohberger will be arraigned Monday and will enter a plea. Now, they say he will enter a plea, and I think that's part of the Idaho arraignment, and so we'll see. But the main part of this is, what does this indictment, what effects will it have? Of course, with this indictment, there's not going to be a preliminary hearing, which I was looking forward to that preliminary hearing. And I'm probably just as surprised as a lot of people. Although I think the family was notified that this was going on. And of course, I hadn't heard of any leaks, and it may have been out there. I just didn't know about it. But that with the prosecutor's decision to impanel this grand jury, it says it was not anticipated, but it did allow the state to avoid the week-long preliminary hearing that would have required it to present evidence before a judge, and which will allow the defense to cross-examine all the witnesses. And we know that there was some issues about subpoenas across the state lines, and with one of the survivors that was in the residence that night that was on the bottom floor. And that they tried to squash that subpoena, but then they came to a deal, negotiations about a deposition that would occur. Well, now that's off the table. Don't have to worry about it. That's not going to occur. And of course, what we will miss through the evidence that would have been presented through that open court hearing, I hate that we're not going to be made aware of that evidence. But in the long run, if this is the way they want to proceed, then we can't argue. It's within the law of Idaho, and we'll all get to see that evidence at some point whenever it's proper to do so during the discovery stages. Now, if they're able to seal some of those hearings, of course we won't. But like I said, using this grand jury, it has delayed the prosecutors having to expose a lot of this evidence to the public against Kohberger. And so the attorneys, of course, will know it, but not so much us. The public at large. But the arraignment on indictment or the information, it says that there's certain time periods that now that he has been indicted, that they're going to have this arraignment. And this arraignment will, I've got some information about what arraignments are and why it's so critical to what's about to happen, and that there is a certain time period. And it has to be within 30 days after the filing of the information. And of course, everything is scheduled for next Monday, which is within, 5 days of his indictment. So the 30 days things, unless they do some type of thing of whereas they ask for a delay for a few days. So will it be Monday? Absolutely possible, but it could be all the way up to 30 days. Not saying that it will. Hopefully everything will happen Monday, and hopefully, whenever he gets up there, he can either plead not guilty, or hopefully, I would really like that there was some type of deal made and that he would plead out if he is guilty, and that he would plead guilty with explanation of what occurred. Now, that's just my absolute wish. Doesn't mean it will happen, but that's what I would really like to happen. And is it a possibility? Yes. Is it likely? No, I don't believe it's likely at all. But we can always hope for the best. All right. But this arraignment is a legal hearing where a person accused of a crime appears before a judge, and they'll hear the charges against them, and they'll enter that plea, guilty or not guilty. And a lot of times across the United States, this is the first hearing for a criminal defendant in court. And then some states, and I don't know if it's in Idaho, will they be looking at this, because I wasn't able to get the research in today to look at, will he be released pending trial? Will there be a bond set? I have no idea, but I'm sure that I'm going to do some more research on that. And if I find that out, I'll let y'all know just as soon as possible, because that would be extremely interesting, that if they make this plea for a bond, what would that bond be? And would they even allow such? I would think it would be highly unlikely that even if they asked for that, anything would be granted. But it has to, and the good news about the arraignment, of course, is it has to be conducted in open court and consists of reading the indictment or information. So we're going to get to see and hear and see the interactions. Well, we won't be able to see. We'll get to hear about it, because I'll tell you in a few minutes about the court order about the videos or live streaming of the court, which is not going to happen. But we'll get some type of reporting on it, and but it won't be live streamed, sadly, or at least that was the article and information I saw today, that it was not going to be allowed to be live streamed. And the defendant may waive the reading of the indictment or information, which would be interesting. Now, would that be a move that the defense might ask for? Absolutely. And I hope that's not the case, because I like to hear what the analysis of his reactions, plus the defense arguments and the prosecution's arguments, both ways. Because even within the arguments, regardless of what's said in the indictment, but some of the arguments that these attorneys will make in court will give you certain information about how the trial will proceed and what avenues they may seek. But the arraignment is just pretty well standard of, if you are the person accused, and do you believe that, in your counsel, because everyone that's in court has a right to counsel. I took these out of order a little bit, and because they were listed as A, B, and C, but we already know that Kohberger has had legal counsel early on, even in Pennsylvania, before he was waived extradition to Idaho. And so he has multi-state representation. Of course, the council that was in Pennsylvania to start with, and now, of course, his defense attorneys, because he has two in Idaho. Now, he probably has a far greater team of other attorneys that will be assisting. So then, this is the order about the no live streaming from the courtroom.
Bummer.
I know it is permitted under a court order, although the judge has allowed for the proceedings to otherwise be filmed and photographed. So they'll film it. It just won't be live. Now, how long will that delay be? I don't know. Will it be that they'll release it in the next hour or 10 minutes? I don't expect that this hearing will be a hearing that will last a long time. I'm pretty sure it'd be that if he waives the reading of, you may be only looking at 5 or 10 minutes of a court, any type of court hearing. And they'll just, what is your plea? And of course, if they do that, we may only be looking at minutes. But if he has to read the full indictment and everything, it may be a little bit longer. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of fireworks or anything that happens during this that will cause any huge impact. Like I said, I'm a little bit disappointed because I really was looking towards that public hearing so that we could see not only this evidence brought up, the DNA, the camera work, the phone, the digital footprint, the cellular footprint, everything that he had that was done in the investigation that led to the arrest, plus the potential of more evidence being brought forth. Because, like I said, indictment is a little bit less findings than what a jury will do, because with a jury, it has to be unanimous and complete. It won't be just a majority of or super majority. But anyway, with that being said, do we have any questions?
You have a few.
All right.
All right. I'm going to jump into a couple of blue lights.
All right.
All right. First one is single mom of 4, gifted 1 membership tonight. Thank you so much.
Appreciate your support.
And this'll do nicely. Happy 8th month anniversary of being a member. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We appreciate y'all's support. What we were able to accomplish in the last 2 weeks is due a large part of all the support that we have on this channel. And we are beholden to you. Thank you.
All right. And you have a new member, Miss Angie. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Then she dropped you a little bit.
All right.
Thank you so much, Miss Angie. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm glad to get back and finally getting caught up. I got up at 5:30 this morning and headed off to meet with another scientist, and so, but I got back and was able to finish up and get everything up for this one. But as we proceed and start getting back on our regular scheduled programs, I think we got 4 or 5 weeks before we head out on the road again. So you'll have Mrs. Steve here with me for a few more weeks.
All right. And this account, what is going on? What does it all mean? A trial is very near?
No, it doesn't. There is going to be such a massive quantity of information on this case, because what law enforcement did, just from the DNA, the camera work, when they did that video canvas and brought in all that information, and looking at that, the analysis on that, all the experts and the people, the witness list of this thing is going to be immense. The phone, the cellular footprint, and not only the phone, we don't know, there's more on the offender profile part of his background and his movements across the country, both pre-crime, post-crime, and during the months prior to the crime of what his activities were. And there will, if at some point we may look back at this case and see that this case will probably have more information that will be looked at than it's such a big case, and how much information and digitally is collected and will be brought before the courts, and how will it be analyzed will probably be shocking.
All right.
So the trial, I don't see the trial coming anywhere soon. I don't think it will be anytime this year. Now, I hope the plea is this year, but I do not believe that the trial will be anytime this year.
All right. Let's get rid of this. Maybe. All right. And Kat, are there really 20,000 pieces of evidence in this case?
I hadn't seen that, but I think there'd probably be more than that. I hadn't seen that article. That is a strong number. And 20,000 pieces of evidence. I wouldn't, if you would send me the link to that article where I can look at that, because I don't know what they're all considering as far as pieces of evidence. Because I've never heard of that large of number of information points and bits of evidence in a case. But that goes right along with my theory that this will be huge.
All right. And criminal med, wouldn't bringing and using that type of wedding show intent? I'm not sure about that one.
Yeah, I don't. Wedding. Yeah.
If you want to type it back in there.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's something there.
Yeah. All right. And this will do nicely. Mrs. Steve, how's your wrist? Up, look up. Where's the camera? Look here.
She's got
I'm good.
She got a couple extra scars, but other than that, she's great.
I'm looking pretty rough in the scar department, but other than that, I'm good. And Tracy, do you think he will get bail?
No, I do not. Just from the number of victims and the type of crime, I do not think that's possible, especially with some of the history and background. And is he a risk? Absolutely.
All right. Let me catch up here. Okay, got another. Got another one.
I want to thank everybody. Like I said, trying to get back on track and looking forward to it. And it's going to take us a while, but we'll get there.
All right. And Kat added, I read 20,000 in more than one place and was astounded. We'll try to locate the articles for you, Steve.
Thank you. Like I said, I missed those for whatever reason. I didn't see that number.
Email address.
Steve@truecrimeweb.com.
Yeah. All right. And let's do this. And Single Mama 4, why would they give him bond?
Well, they're going to, I think, I don't know in Idaho if it's something that's required, but almost always, they will ask for it for bond. Not saying that it has to be granted, because they'll make the arguments for and against. And when you have multiple victims and you have this type of crime, I don't think it's even a possibility, but we'll see what happens. But it does say, and it does address the issue that, let's see here. And like I said, I don't know if Idaho is one of the states that the court, whether the defendant will be released pending trial. Don't know if Idaho is one of those states or not.
All right. And Too Much Mom. Is Kohberger required to enter a plea on Monday? What happens with the gag order if the trial won't take place for another year?
Uh, well, I mean, that's what the arraignment's for, is that they're going to ask him, or how do you plead? And my understanding is that he will make it unless they ask for a continuance for just 30 days or something. But I, um, I believe a plea will have to be entered. Um, so I'm hoping it is Monday. I hope we do have that information. And what will the judge address on these gag orders? Will he let some of the gag order and some um, leniency as far as officers of the court being able to comment? Just don't know. But can they keep it for a year? Sure. Will they? I don't know.
Okay, let's see here. All right, and that is all of your questions so far on Kohberger. Let's see. Let's make sure we got them all.
Also tonight, just a few minutes before the show, Kristen behind the crime door sent a message to me wanting me to fill in on her show tonight. So I'm going to be moving over to her show at some point tonight. So I think her show starts in about 30 minutes or so. And so we'll be moving over there after this. So if you don't get enough of me tonight on this one, I'll be moving over there in probably another 15 minutes or so, if y'all have.
All right, so nothing else here.
All
No
right.
questions.
All
Let
right.
me go back. I'm gonna go back and see if there's any comments that we can
Absolutely.
throw out here. Whoop, I can get it to scroll backwards. So let me start from the beginning. All right, let's see here. This makes me a little nauseous.
We're trying to get this thing back going.
That one. Oh, Mama Styles, you're so sweet. Says I'm looking gorgeous.
Absolutely.
Y'all are so funny.
Eye candy. Eye candy.
Yeah, you need to clean your glasses. Let's see here. All right, here we go. 20,000. Okay, we talked about the 20,000 pieces.
Yeah, I'm wondering what those pieces could be listed as. And like I said, I've never heard of anything of that much data or pieces of evidence. I don't even know how could you even enter 20,000 pieces of evidence into a trial. I don't see how that would be possible.
Legendary CEO, I'm shocked people did not anticipate a grand jury.
Yeah, it is. I just didn't either. I thought that this hearing was going, and that's just part of it. But it to me, it did surprise me. I guess it was because I was hoping so much to be able to watch the hearing, and so I was, thinking along those lines that the prosecution wanted that information to be brought, and they're ready for it to be put out there, and that's not the case. So sometimes your hopes puts up a cloud and hides alternatives from you.
All right, and Dave, amazing on how things are proceeding in this case as opposed to other cases. Laugh out loud.
Oh yes, yeah. We just saw that happen with Delphi. They have one of their hearings, and now it's been continued. What does that mean for that?
Always.
Started to actually do a part of that on this show tonight, but I decided not to.
Righty, so let's see here. Lisa's here for the Waffle House talk.
Oh my goodness!
Some of that.
I went. I had Waffle House this morning. I went down to, like I said, to meet with the scientists. And while I was waiting, I went to a local Waffle House and had a few cups of coffee and a couple of eggs. So hadn't been that long since I was at a Waffle House. And it was just like all the other Waffle Houses.
Go figure. Did you expect it to be different?
Same coffee cups.
That's the best thing. All right, let's see here. We got some new comments coming in. Let me go cruise through them. Copper Horse, thank you so much. She dropped Kristen's channel. For those of you that are not familiar with her, you can click on that.
Now, I don't know if Kristen's going to have me or not. She sent me a message asking, and it was right when I was about to start the show, so I don't even know if she will have me, but I'm going to try to get back over there. So if she's out there listening, I'll be there in about 15 minutes or so. But I'll have to check my email and make sure.
She sent it.
Okay. So she did send me a link, so that's where we will be shortly.
All right, and Miranda Lee is for Kristen. What is it?
Behind
behind the crime door.
Yes, Kristen behind the crime door.
Okay. All right.
Great channel. I love listening to her. She's so logical and she has a great voice. And she can, where I have Mrs. Steve, she does a solo show, and I try to do it myself sometimes, and I don't have that skill set. I couldn't do it without Mrs. Steve.
Yes, you do. You do it all the time without me.
No, I don't.
All right. CM Streef, how are you? What's going on with the house where this happened?
I haven't. Oh, that's a great question. I need to check on that because they were talking about the destruction of, and I haven't heard anything. So I believe that if there was anything happening with that house, it would be huge. And I haven't heard of anything, but that is a great question.
Okay. Let's see here. And Jeff, I noticed a new judge signed in. Did they call a change on the previous judge? I hope this judge continues with the gag order.
Yes, and often you'll have judges that, for different parts of the trial, and how does Idaho work on that, and will they assign a new judge? But no, I don't know if the judge has been changed, or I hadn't seen where anyone might have stepped down from the trial.
All right. And Dave, do you guys need another fire extinguisher? I'm not sure about that one.
No, I missed that one.
I have no idea. All right. And Tracy, if he pleads guilty but refuses to say what happened, what happens?
And that's all part that, of negotiations. Now, has the state offered that? I have no idea what the families and the state prosecutor, have they even offered that ability. With BTK, of course, he stood up there, and that was part of his deal. The Golden State killer, he did right the opposite. He pled guilty, but he didn't have to explain. So it's all part of what the negotiations are and what the deal is. And how will Idaho approach it? I have no idea, but it's going to be somewhere between those two. Either it will be with explanation if he pleads guilty, or without, or somewhere in between. And I always, it's with all, make sure, like with BTK, that the details are known, and that absolutely takes out that you don't have someone falsely, confessing. When the public at large has the facts, understands the crimes, and you have an individual that stands up there and says, yes, this is the information, this is how I did it, why I did it. And I think the victims deserve that for justice.
All right. And Chevy Metal, over 10,000 photos.
Now that I believe, I've been there. I don't know if I ever made 10,000 on one case, but I know I've made thousands on one case. And it's quite common. Even when you're talking about a vehicle, I've made over 1,000 photos just on a car. working a crime scene. And so I can see that because each of the victims is a crime scene. And not only is the victim a crime scene, and you have to process that victim in the house. So you have all those photos within the house. And then once you get them to the autopsy, then you have a whole new processing of that victim and the photography involved in it and how many injuries and the documentation of the everything of each injury. Yes, I can see 10,000 photos being reached relatively easily.
All right. And little man, I thought they already had an arraignment.
No, not that I know of.
Don't look at me.
Now I know they have the indictment.
Okay. Let's see.
If they have, there's been a lot of people that missed it, and the news agencies are reporting the arraignment for Monday.
All right. And Dave, how many people did you arrest?
Oh, I've arrested thousands.
And they still say hey to him in town.
Oh yes, oh yes. No, I've arrested thousands of people, or been part of those arrests. But yes.
Let's see here.
Fault probably hundreds.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, whenever you get to those numbers, you always have a percentage of those that don't want to go.
And this is priceless. A little bit, Alexis. Okay, you can answer this question. Are pancakes and waffles actually different ingredients or the same? How did I go through life not knowing a definite answer to that?
I assume that they're always the same. I guess I don't know
if you use a waffle maker or you make them flat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I never even thought about it, but I don't see them having two different batters in there. But
can somebody answer that?
Yeah, because I don't know. Never even thought about it. It may be the same ingredients, but in different parts. Because I know it's. I don't know. Good question.
All right. So Grace puts out their homemade waffles are the best. So what do you use to make your waffles?
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Oh, Dandy did. Pancakes are usually only made with mix and water. Waffles takes eggs and some mix though.
Okay.
There you go. So now we got people craving pancakes, doused with butter and maple syrup. All right, let's see here.
Well, we were, I know my mom, she made both, but I don't know if she ever used two different things.
I've used it. I don't even make them, so how would I know? All right, let's see here. M. Cunningham, would he get the death penalty?
I hope it's yes. Is it on the table? I believe so. I think it meets everything that would be. And when will that be known? But yes, I'm hoping that is absolutely on the table.
Mm-hmm. Wait a minute. Okay, here we go. Couldn't get my clicker to work. And Dandy, would we get any real details if he pleads guilty?
I think a lot of the evidence would be out there by then, or some of the evidence would be released. Depends on what the courts want to do. But if it's part of the plea deal that he has to explain, then absolutely we'll get a lot of details. But if they do like what California did with Golden State, you won't get any details from him, but you will probably get some other evidence released by the prosecution.
Okay, so I thought this was a typo, but apparently not. So the new judge, his name is John Judge. So now they're saying that it's Judge because his name is Judge, last name Judge. Did you know that?
No,
John
I did not.
Judge. So
Nope.
it's Judge is the judge.
Nope. Judge.
That's from Copper Horse. That was priceless. All right. And from Anna, I assume the prosecutor will go for the death penalty with Kohberger, and they will be unlikely to take a plea. About the same time, there was a double homicide in New Meadows. Emotions are raw.
You know, and like I said, now here in Georgia, it's pretty well left up to just about the families what they want, and so what do each of those families want out there? I have no idea, but I hope they do go for the death penalty, and because, like I said, there's nothing I think that would. It's just for what it now is a deterrent. No, it's not a deterrent for other criminals, but it would put an end to him.
All right.
All right.
Wait a minute. We got a couple more. Can you take an off-topic
Sure.
question? Okay. This is off-topic for M. Cunningham. What's the latest on the young man who was staged in the middle of the road?
I'm going to be working on that. I'll probably try to get some of that out this weekend. But I think some of, as far as the Murdoch information, there's been some new releases. But as far as the Smith case, I haven't heard much on that at all.
Okay.
I'm going to go look into it, though.
All right. I got just a few more here. A little bit, Alexis. If you could make a general guess, how many serial killers have you looked in the eye?
At least 2.
Your dog's talking. Jeff, Steve, what do you think about the defense going into BK's apartment and collecting items such as the TV, etc., on a list that BK possibly made to collect? Are those items being brought to BK in jail?
Well, I mean, you know, whatever the prosecution left, the defense absolutely, if there's something there that they, because who knows more about that evidence than BK? No one. And, you know, he is above average intelligence. And so he'll use that intelligence trying to prove his innocence. And if he knows that there's anything in there that's exculpatory, he'll use it and use it for his benefit. And like I said, if the prosecution left it behind, then the defense will use it.
When was the last? Oh, this is from a little bit, Alexis. When was the last time an actual firing range?
The firing squad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's where I was getting confused up.
I think it was. I think it was in the last few years, wasn't it? I think because I know that some of the is it Utah that still allows it, and I know that there was a famous case quite a few years ago where I can't think of the guy's name that he chose because some states allow you to choose which manner, and I think he chose firing squad, and it may be Utah. I think I don't know. It's one of those western states.
Y'all crack me up with this here pancake. All right, let's see here.
I'm gonna ask that next time I go to the Waffle House. I'll see what the difference in their waffle recipe and a pancake recipe is. Okay. We'll have that on the next. If I can get Mrs. Steve out on a date night, we'll go to the Waffle House and I'll ask them.
How many date nights have I had to Waffle House in 33 years? And from Ann, Mr. Steve, is it correct to say that you've probably testified numerous times to a grand jury? What was that like? Duty to keep secret, etc. Thanks.
You know, as law enforcement officers, you're sitting there before the grand jury, and of course, only the prosecution side is in there. And as far as the district attorney, or whoever his representative is during those proceedings. And but it's, you're just sitting there. It's pretty informal, but everything. You can only testify to the facts that you know, and the grand jury can ask questions, and you just answer them. It's a little bit different than a court hearing, but it's nothing that is anything that would see that. I'm trying to, when you think about a grand jury, because there's the common thing about even a ham sandwich can be indicted. Now, I've been in grand juries where I've seen the prosecutor absolutely be able to control that grand jury, sadly, because, and that's the part of it, that if a prosecutor really doesn't want to pursue a certain case, he can, the way he manipulates it, there is an area of where he can let people that not all the facts get brought out, and I've seen it, and that I thought I had a really good case, and certain questions were never asked that I wanted to be asked, and sometimes when not all the facts get out there, you don't get an indictment. So I've been there, but when a prosecutor really wants to pursue a case, they can also, like I said, that old saying that you can indict a ham sandwich is true. So that's the bad part of what can happen in a grand jury. And of course, no one can ever, as far as those cases that has occurred on, of course, grand juries can't ever go out and discuss it or whatever their feelings are about it. But are there times that it's probably bad? Yes. But all in all, it's still a good system, but it does have failures.
All right. And Copper Horse has renamed your channel to Steve's Cooking Channel.
Yeah. Why not? No, thank you.
We got the pancakes and the waffles down. So that's awesome.
But now when you get to the morning watch, that's pretty much what we do. We start off with a little bit of true crime, and by the end of it, we go into Waffle House.
Yeah, y'all got me hungry talking ham sandwiches and
Yep.
and pancakes and waffles. So, okay, you got about 13 minutes to go before Kristen.
Okay.
So, anything else you need to say?
No, I just, like I said, we try and get back into the rhythm of things as we proceed. But we appreciate everyone bearing with us while we work these cold cases. I know it does take away from some of the content and things, but I just spoke to Larry today about Amber's case, and as he always says, there's more been done in the last month than has been done in 40 years as far as his involvement with the case, and so he's pleased with that. And I want to thank everyone to that y'all allow us to do that, and like I said, it's just, if you talk to anyone that went with us to Texas, Carolyn, her sister, Chris, and you talk to Larry, seeing the impact on Larry makes working the cold cases absolutely worthwhile. And I look forward to working others, and I'll let y'all know about those as we move forward. But just want to thank everybody, because this part of our channel does support the cold case part. And without this part, the other part doesn't exist. And I just want to thank everyone for allowing that to happen.
Well, I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff wants to know, how did you do so well with the spiders in Texas?
I stayed out in daylight. Now in the grassy areas in that field, there were a lot out there running around. I just put them out of my mind, went and did my work, and I stayed in as much sunlight as I could.
Steel-toe boots?
Yes, yes. Boots, not steel-toe, but boots.
Boots. Okay. All right. Thank you, mods. Couldn't do it without you. I appreciate you. What else you got? You good?
We're good. Thank you, guys.